What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. Yeah, I'm back in the studio today. Welcome. We're going to be talking about the War Powers Act, and that it was finally passed by the House yesterday. So we're going to go over the information about that. What I think is actually going to happen here, and what reactions have we gotten so far from this. So thank you very much for joining me here. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the channel. If you would like to check out more from the channel, please do so. Consider subscribing, like, share, comment, all that good stuff to get more videos in front of more people. If you'd like to check out videos from my other channels, there's JMD Drummer there, ClearTalk, Puzzling. If you like what you see there, consider subscribing to those. That'd be amazing. It's free for you, helps out the channels tremendously. Okay, so please do. If you want to go further than that, there's Patreon up there. All right, $2 you can support any of the channels that you would like to help grow those channels, to help grow Patreon, to help grow the JMD Nation, and help keep all this going. Okay, and now, okay, I did a video the other day announcing, and I went over the website and everything, but I'm just letting you know now I have merch, okay? So you can go to pinkinnovations.com/collection/JMD merch, okay? It's a website. Pinkinnovations.com is my girlfriend's business site, okay? This is what she does. She does custom work, and she made this collection for me, all right? I mean, we both worked on it, but she got it all together for me, and we've got it published now. So, if you'd like to, go check that out. I have something for every single channel. Did I say that already? I don't know if I did, but there you go. I have something for every channel. And if you want to go further, okay, or if you want to get a discount on any of the merch, then go to Patreon, okay? If you become a member of Patreon, you get a discount on the merch. So, but even if you don't want to do that, even if you don't want to do any kind of my merch, just go to Pink Innovations anyways. If you want some kind of custom work done, okay? I'm promoting her as well, all right? She does amazing custom work. She'll do anything she can, from shirts to hats to cups to vinyls to whatever. She will go over and beyond to try to figure out how to customize anything you need customized. Yeah, do that. That would be amazing. And if you're returning, you're freaking amazing. You are amazing. So welcome back. Keep coming back, because you're what makes JMD Nation. Okay, so. All right, so yes, we've been, we've had this war going on now for damn near 3 months, and we had this has already come up a few times now. The War Powers Act, which is basically what Congress's ability to try to withhold the executive branch if they feel and deem needed to, from any military action that the executive branch has decided to take on. Okay, you have 60 days. It's kind of a weird thing that 60 days of military action can happen before the if the Congress invokes the War Powers Act, then the executive branch basically has to then prove why they need to continue any kind of military action. The military action couldn't go additional 30 days if it's placed under like an emergency kind of thing, to make it up to 90 days. That's kind of my sort of loose understanding. But what this administration has been arguing, even ever since this actually came up a couple of weeks ago, is that we were on a ceasefire, and under a ceasefire, the clock stops, and so we weren't even at the 60 days when the ceasefire happened. So the clock stopped. So we still got some time, and we're holding that, we've been in this stalemate, right, since the ceasefire, quote unquote ceasefire, went into place. But finally, and this has already happened. This is the 4th time this War Powers Act resolution has tried to be implemented, and 3 times it failed. But finally, yesterday, it passed. All right. So here are the numbers. Let me blow this up. All right. The numbers were 215 to 208. All right. Republicans, yay 4, 207, nay. 6 were no vote because they were not present. We'll go over that. Democrat, 211, yay. All right. There was 1 no vote on that one because they were not present. Independent, well, there was 1 nay. I tried to figure out who the independent was, and I have yet to be able to figure out who that was. I mean, I guess I would have to actually watch the entire proceeding to try to figure that out. I'm not doing that. But so that comes to a total of 215 yay, 208 nay, and 7 no votes. Okay. So if you want to argue, the people weren't there to vote, 7 would not have gotten this, would not have saved this. Okay, you had 4 Republicans that went against the GOP and decided to vote for this, to hold and try to pull back any kind of military action on the Iran war or towards Iran, if at all possible. And the 7 there, that you have 6 Republicans, and even if all 6 of those Republicans had voted, that would only put it at 214. And the 1 Democrat was Jayapal, and she would have most definitely voted for it. So it would have been 216 to 214. So there was no way around. Once the Republicans, 4 Republicans had swapped lanes and voted on this, there was no way to keep this. So what happens now? This goes to the Senate for the Senate to vote on. Now, there is, of course, a Senate majority Republican. So there's a possibility that it's completely dead on arrival in the Senate. But there are also some issues in the Senate where some Senate Republicans are not exactly too happy with Trump right now. So there is a possibility that it could potentially pass the Senate. Now, what would happen then? It would, of course, go to Trump. And Trump would have to argue and battle around the fact that you have what he has been calling unconstitutional. Both chambers of Congress at that point would have voted for it and voted to restrict any military action further from the administration, which he would then have to argue, okay, if I veto this, then I'm saying you don't have the right to restrict me. I can do whatever I want. Which he's argued that, every president since the War Powers Act has in some way or form or fashion been against it. And while there are arguments that most of them pretty much did take some sort of limited actions, even once a war powers threat was made or put in place or whatever the case, they did make limited actions that went against it. Being completely against it is not exactly correct. But I mean, yes, no president wants to technically be kind of restrained, but that is the whole point. Just because a president does not want to be restrained, and just because maybe even every president to some degree has been against being restrained by Congress, but that's the whole point. Just to say that, well, no president has ever really liked it and thought it was unconstitutional, doesn't actually make it unconstitutional. And it also doesn't make it legitimate that you can make an argument. It didn't make it legitimate for any of them to make an argument, in my opinion, against it. The whole idea is that, yes, you have limited ability to do a military action when it is deemed that it was necessary for the safety and protection and defense of the United States because of an actual direct threat or action was taken on the United States. And then to go further than the 60-day action, you need approval from Congress. Congress needs to actually approve war, which is actually in the Constitution. And before the War Powers Act, it didn't really have that type of restraint. A president could just do whatever without any kind of congressional restraint. Even though it's in the Constitution for the Congress to actually declare war, because they hold the power of the purse. The executive branch does not. And war means money. And it has to be the approval of the United States. The Congress is representative of the people of the United States, and the people of the United States do not approve of actions that executive branch is taking with our military. Then that's the reason why Congress has that ability to bump heads with the executive if needed to. And that's the point. So where we have here is Congress deciding that, okay, look, we allowed you these 60 days. We allowed you all this period of time. It's been over 60 days at this point. Period of time to figure out what we're doing here. Because you have, for one, there was no direct threat made. There was no direct threat to us whatsoever when it comes to Iran. And the reasons why we say, all the different reasons why we say that we did this. That's one thing. There was no direct threat. Even by our own intelligence, there was no direct threat. So you made a decided war against Iran. And the American people have seen that. And the American people are backlashing on that. MAGA might be wholeheartedly on board with this, but MAGA only represents roughly between 20 and 35 at best percentage of the American people. 20 actually proclaimed, like, self-identifiable American adults, 20%, 19% technically, as of right now. But there's roughly probably like 15% that on any given day will say and claim they're MAGA, but then another day they kind of like, I don't really like this. So yeah, there's an argument there, okay, which makes up the majority of the quote unquote 40% of Trump's approval, which is where his approval sits right now, is at 40%. So what we have here again is the Congress, the House, stating, look, we think we need to rein you in. We need proof of any further actions taken, okay? Because we have a global economic crisis on the brink. Oil is still not flowing out of the Strait of Hormuz like it should. Which has caused a global oil crisis, okay, at this point. The only reason why prices have been staying to the degree that they have been staying and haven't went up any further is because everybody is going through their actual like emergency reserves. But those reserves are growing thin. And it's already been stated by like experts that we are literally within weeks, okay, literally within weeks of running out of oil, having a complete global oil shortage if the Strait of Hormuz is not opened up. And that will drive prices through the fucking roof. On oil, on gas, on everything that dominoes from that. When we are really looking, if something does not happen within the next 30 days, if not less, a actual global recession potentially. And the administration is still out here like willy-nilly, we're trying, we're close to a deal. We're close to a deal. But yet we keep doing these little attacks that make Iran then reciprocate those attacks. And then we act like, oh, what? What are you doing? And then, of course, Israel's still trying to blow shit up. as they always do. We're having to, Trump having to get over the phone with, Netanyahu going, "Are you fucking crazy?" Of course, Netanyahu said, "Oh, yeah, that's how families fight." I mean, Netanyahu literally called Trump his family. That's just what we do. We fight in the morning, and by the night, we're good. We're on the same fucking page, bro. That's the way he talked about his and Trump's talk and their relationship. He feels that they're still on board. Everything's good. Everything's gravy. Yeah, he may have said some shit. I say shit too, but whatever I do, he's still going to accept. So this guy breaks it down here pretty well, I think. You have today, or well, yesterday, June 3rd. The next 30 days is very, very, very important. All right. So between now and July 3rd, House passes 15 to 208. Okay. The cheers erupt across the floor. First time in 4 attempts, it clears the House. Trump's position, the war powers is unconstitutional. He's not stopping. And that's basically what he said. All right. I mean, I have the Truth Social here. Yesterday, in a meaningless vote, that immediately says that it's pointless. It's not going to stop anything. The House voted 4 bad Republicans, and all the Democrats to limit my war powers right in the middle of my final negotiation to end the war with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Who would do such an unpatriotic thing? An unpatriotic thing. To limit my powers, me, Donald Trump, to limit my powers is unpatriotic. I should be able to do whatever I want. How dare you limit my powers? If I want to blow somebody up or eliminate a civilization, I should be able to. What are you talking about? If I want to blow up oil and steal it and take it and make millions off of it, I should be able to. What are you talking about? If I blow up the global, oil system and cause a global crisis and a recession, I should be able to. That's unpatriotic to not let me do that. They know where the negotiations stand. The Democrats, he didn't say Democrats in there. The Democrats are fueled by Trump derangement syndrome. They would rather have a country fail than give me another of many victories. Your 250th American anniversary celebration has damn near just been canceled because nobody wanted to be a part of it. Nobody wanted to be a part of your celebrating yourself, because that's what you turned it into. As you do everything, turning it about yourself, making it about yourself. You narcissistic prick. The 4 Republicans, that's a whole other story. They're grandstanders. They should be ashamed of themselves. Actually, no, they should. Although it's well overdue. It shouldn't even have taken this long, but they will go down as Republican heroes. Maybe even American heroes. Pathetic. Days 2 through 5, June 4th through June 8th. Resolution moves to Senate. A parallel measure already advanced with limited GOP support. Every Republican senator now forced to take a public position on an unpopular war. And that's true. Now you have to force all of these senators. They have taken a position. They have to decide what position they're going to be on and actually put it in writing. Are you for or against? Are you going to protect Americans or are you going to protect Trump? Gas prices already up 50% since February. That number follows every vote. Iran watches the vote count and calculates whether U.S. resolve is cracking. And that's ultimately what the administration doesn't like here. Is that, we're in negotiations and they think they have the upper hand, even though it's clear that Iran has the upper hand here. The fact that Trump even wind up having to get on the phone with Netanyahu and tell him to chill out because Iran is pissed off and canceling negotiations because of what Israel was doing is enough to say that Iran has the upper hand here. Iran is the ones in control here. Days 6 through 10, June 9th through 13th, Senate math. Does bipartisan support hold or collapse under White House pressure? If Senate passes, Trump faces a congressional directive he has already called unconstitutional. If Senate fails, Democrats run 2026 midterms on Congress tried and Republicans blocked it. That Democrats tried to stop it and Republicans said, nope, war. Drive us down in a hole. Keep raising those prices. Keep making it harder on the American people. Because Trump needs to get his fucking win. Oh. Days 11 through 20, June 14th through 23rd. Trump ignores the resolution. Operations continue regardless. That's one possibility. Congressional standoff. No enforcement mechanism exists to force compliance. And, I mean, that is also true. Iran's negotiators read the fracture as an opening. Why make a deal if Congress is already splitting? Massey, Fitzpatrick, Barrett, and Davison, who were the four that voted on for this, become either heroes or targets, depending on what happens next. Days 21 through 30, June 24th through July 3rd. Midterm messaging locked in, illegal war of choice versus betrayal of the commander-in-chief. Yeah. Gas prices, casualties, and weekly war costs become the only numbers that matter, and they will. The war cost will go through the roof, as you know, and gas prices, along with everything else. I mean, everything's concentrated around gas prices, but that's ultimately going to cause everything else to go up. Everything is going to be affected by that. A 3-month war with no authorization, no exit ramp because they can't figure out how to get out of it because Trump is in a slump because he can't actually twist this to make himself look good. And now, no congressional cover. The resolution doesn't end the war, but it ends the fiction that Congress is unified behind it. And that's right. Here's your resolution. All right. Yeah, 211 Democrats. Massey, Fitzpatrick, Davison, and Barrett are the four that broke from the GOP and voted. 207 Republicans voted nay. This breakdown doesn't even list the one independent, so that's one reason why. Also, I don't know. Maybe they didn't even know. Whoever updated this apparently didn't even know who the independent was. Pramila Jayapal Dusty Johnson, Thomas Keene, who, by the way, apparently has been out of work for like 90 days now, or over 90 days now. Nobody has seen him or knows where the fuck he is or something. Apparently on some health issues that he will not, in his office will not release information about. That's wild. Morgan Luttrell, Nancy Mace, that one. Ralph Norman and Andy Ogles did not vote. So these 6 Republicans were out, and then Pramila Jayapal was not present. So yeah, that is your layout for that. So yes, you have this going to the Senate. I honestly don't know at this point what the breakdown would be in the Senate. I mean, clearly, Fetterman is going to vote. He will be the one Democrat that will vote. He's the one that has helped prevent it from being passed in the Senate previously. The Senate's version of the resolution. So it would take Republican Rand Paul is a very good possibility of actually, I think, possibility of swapping over. And possibly Cassidy. Susan Collins. It's possible that some of them will pass over, and we will actually get a yes vote in the Senate, and then it winds up again going to Trump. But Trump is so arrogant and thinks he should be able to do whatever that there's a very good chance that he will veto it, and then it has to go back to Congress, and then they have to have a 2/3 vote, which is going to be hard to do. A 2/3 vote in order to veto his veto. So there's a good chance that this is ultimately going to look as performative, but it at least puts everybody on paper who allows and who doesn't, who approves and who doesn't of an unconstitutional war, an illegal war of aggression that we, in Israel's name, did. We've already stated Israel was going to do it anyways. And they are the ones that continue to try to blow up the deal, as always, because they never actually ceased during any ceasefire. We already talked about it the other day in a video about all the stuff that Israel is doing. And all the members of Israel's cabinet that say, yeah, this shit ain't happening. We're going to make sure it doesn't happen. We're not making a deal. Fuck that. And Iran sees that. And Iran knows that they have great influence. That Israel has great influence in what the U.S. decides, ultimately. That's the reason why they don't trust the United States. Along with what we ourselves have even said and done previously. So the next 30 days is extremely critical for multiple fronts. Because if we do not wind up with some sort of deal, then we're already looking at the threats of a hot war starting back up right now. But within the next 30 days, we're also looking at a literal global crisis economically, an oil shortage that could potentially cause huge ramifications. People having to be forced to work from home, rationing of gas like they had to back in the 70s. Where they literally had to like identify, okay, these particular like going by your license plate or whatever in some locations, saying like this particular number, odd numbers get to go get gas this day, even numbers get to go get gas this day, or some type of system like that. That literally was the types of stuff that happened back then when there was a when there was a fuel shortage, oil shortage, and we're looking at that same type of condition happening if something doesn't happen and the strait open up within the next coming weeks. We've been protected so far, but that protection is limited and it's running out. We are at critical mass between now and July 3rd. And it feels like to me that Trump is more fucking concerned about his Trump 250 celebration, making sure that this reflection pool gets filled up and all this stuff gets cleaned up, and I get this nice big ass elliptical ring for the UFC, which I'm even, I'm trolling people, quote unquote, supposedly, that we might just leave it there because it's I kind of think of it like the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower was supposed to be a limited thing, and well, it's still there. So we might make this permanent too. People claim that he's making a joke out of it, but is he? Is he? He's turning Washington again. He's turning it into a circus. The White House into a circus. This resolution is great. It puts it on paper. It puts it in front of Trump that Congress doesn't approve of what they're doing anymore. Who is representative of the American people. And this war is extremely disliked. 80% of Americans state that they do not like this war and disapprove of it. So the fact that it's barely passing Congress is incredibly disingenuous of Congress and proves that Congress doesn't actually represent the American people whatsoever when it comes to something like this. You're telling me that upwards of 80% of Americans do not approve of a war, and barely 50% of you can represent that 80%? MAGA, Republicans, actually, not MAGA, fuck MAGA. Republicans. Like full on old school reasonable Republicans or conservative independents. Your Republican conservative representation in Congress clearly doesn't give a fuck about you and your opinions. Clearly. So what are you going to do about that? Are you just going to continue to accept that in other areas they might line up with you, but when it comes to driving us into another fucking war with no end in path, no end in sight, illegally, without even proving why we did it to the first place. Driving the economy through the fucking roof globally and causing a crisis. Those few things that they actually agree on you on is more important to keep them in there. Or maybe taking a chance that maybe you can find another representative that meets and lines up a little bit more with your interests. Why are we constantly allowing people in Congress, and I'm not talking about just Republicans, Democrats as well, or liberals, conservative, whatever. Why are we continuously allowing people in Congress that don't actually represent us, that don't fully represent us? It because people keep voting against their interest. I mean, it's the whole fucking reason Trump is actually in office to begin with. Because you're voting against your better interests. All for what? Owning somebody? Or because you want to see chaos? Or you like the show glamour of it or something? I don't. What is this country turning into? What are we as citizens turning into? I mean, the fact that there's part of the population that actually thinks that voting for this kind of stuff and celebrating these type of actions that have been taken by the administration is, like funny and cool and the gotcha. You're whining about it. Ha 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 ha. We got you. The adolescence, the immaturity of it all, the joke of it all. That's what it is becoming more and more clear that it's not just our government and our leadership that's a fucking joke. There is a good chunk of our actual citizens of this country that are also a fucking joke. I don't know if it's like a representation of the degree that our educational system has fallen, or our parental guidance across the country and or understanding of like or political understanding, whatever is fallen or failing. and how we like direct and show our kids the right and wrong? Or is it like a double standard kind of thing here, or like a hypocritical thing where we teach one thing, but when it comes to action, we act completely different, which is something that I have seen and witnessed in previous generations. And potentially even in my own generation. It's ridiculous. We can't completely blame our leadership. We can't. Because our leadership is there because we put them there. So we're all fucking to blame. And the question is what the fuck are we going to actually do about it? I know I went off on a tangent there that may be a little bit off course from my original point of this video, but I mean, is it? Thank you for joining me. We'll have to see. The next 30 days are critical. We're going to see what happens. And whether or not, Congress will actually step up enough to represent us. And whether that actually translates into anything of substance or any action of like restraint may be a different question. But at least we could feel like somebody is trying to represent us. Whatever that fucking means. Thank you for joining me again. Check out channels, check out merch. That'd be amazing. And until next time, peace. ClearTalk. I'm out.